When you put Ken Onion together with Ketuo, you have a match made in heaven. But they still blew everybody's expectations out of the water when their first knife, the Karbon Mini Buck Horn, was the Blade Show Atlanta 2024 Collaboration Knife of the Year and the top knife of 2024 for a lot of people. Beautiful full-size knife, and a lot of you asked for something smaller. Well, today we have the Karbon Mini Buck Horn. We're going to check this little bad boy out and see if this is just as good as that original Knife of the Year candidate. Stick around to find out. What it do, Kripple Krew? EDCwithDBD, disabled but deadly, and we are looking at the Mini Buck Horn today. I did get to check out the original Buck Horn, and it was absolutely a stunner and a Knife of the Year candidate for me. Does the Mini live up to my high expectations? And is there any changes you need to know about besides the size? Before we get into that, stab that like button like you mean it. Make sure that you have /subscribe and that you've bashed that bell for notifications so that you don't miss anything. Also, if you like what I do here at the channel, it only costs a couple of bucks a month to become a member of Kripple Krew Inc. That couple bucks a month really helps out the channel, but that's completely up to you. We're going to kick it off with the specs, where the original Buck Horn came in at 8.78 inches overall with a 3.87 inch blade. We now have a 7.32 inch overall length with a 3.15 inch M390. Yes, there is a change there in the blade steel. M390 drop point, modified sheep's foot, whatever you want to call it. Let me know in the comments. Blade with a bead blasted finish and a flat grind. We have a handle length of 4.17 inches and this beautiful milled titanium. And then we have an overall weight of 3.4 ounces. So blade stock thickness of looks to be 120 thousandths. And the first thing I noticed about the original Buck Horn when I got it in hand was that milling. And yes, the milling on the Mini Buck Horn absolutely stands up to that of the original Buck Horn. You have even more texture, I think, on this checker part. And then the pinstriped milling, it is absolutely done just as well, if not better, than the original. Because I don't remember the original having as much texture on the geometric portion of it. Oh, I do want to point out, see if I get that on camera real quick. You can see Ken Onion's name right there inside the backspacer, which is also milled titanium. And I really like how they put carbon on the spine here, the name of the collaboration company. And I like that there is 0 billboarding on our blade. The only markings on the blade is the M390, which you can see right there inside of that choil. The original Buck Horn came with S35VN steel. M390, most would consider that an upgrade because you're going to be getting more edge retention out of the M390 while being, like S35VN, very corrosion resistant. This is even more corrosion resistant than S35VN and still plenty tough. S35VN is probably a little bit tougher, but for an EDC knife, this it has plenty of toughness, and you'll prioritize the edge retention of that M390. I want to point out, look at the milling even on the lock bar relief cuts. The milling that you can feel on that right hand tip up as the gods intended, and mostly deep carry milled titanium clip. The action on the original Buckhorn was insane, and this is a Ketuo product. So as you would expect, it is just as good on the Mini. Whether you are using those thumb studs or that flipper tab, the action is fantastic. Our frame lock, I like the way that it's cut here around the pivot. I also like that the pivot has been anodized gold, made to look like, the back end of brass, a bullet casing. And 7.5 is how long it is, 2025, because that's when it came out. I think that looks really good, and I'm okay with that billboarding because it adds to the Buckhorn name. It gives you that, like I said, that brass look to tie it into the firearm. Really like it. You still get that wonderful Coke bottle. I don't want to call it contouring. This is absolutely contoured. But then you have these Coke bottle swells that definitely make it, very comfortable on the original. They're placed, they do just the same thing on the smaller version. However, I do find that for me, I wear an extra large size glove. For me, behind that pivot, I don't fit in between here and here like I did on the original Buckhorn. So the swells don't hit me the same way, and it's not as comfortable for me as the original Buckhorn was. But this is made for smaller hands. If you wear a large size glove or smaller, I think this would be probably a dream in hand, just like the original was for me. I'm afraid to let Mrs. Deadly put it in her hands. I'd like to see how it feels to her, but I know she's going to want one. I still need to get me an original, and I don't want her wanting the Mini before I even score an original. I'm going to give you some size comparisons, just so you can get a good idea for this. Let's back it up against that, just so we know we are even. And we're going to start it off as we usually do, by going to Spyderco PM2, One Cliff Rendition, and a Spyderco Para 3, in this case the lightweight salt. As you can see, it is definitely closer to the Para 3 lightweight in length, just slightly longer than the Para 3. How about a couple more size comparisons? Let's pull out some more beautiful milling with the TRM Holier Nerd and TRM Bulldog. This is going to be a little bit longer than the Bulldog. Whoop, as I'm dropping stuff. Get those out of the way there. So, one more comparison. How about the brand new, I just had it right here, Monster Xandros in S90V, just dropped today. There we go. There's a very good size comparison. The Monster Xandros is just slightly longer. And through Halloween, you can get the Monster Xandros in S90V for under $180 with code DBD. While we're on that, let's talk about the price on this. So, the original Buckhorn came in at $275. With the amount of hours, not just this milling takes on the machines, but the programming it took to do this milling, had to have taken hours. These definitely spend a lot of time on machines getting this all done, and that costs money. We are rocking a super steel, of course, And I found $275 for the original with everything that they have done to be a very fair price. This new one, the Mini Buck Horn, by the way, they do offer an aluminum version of the OG that starts at $150. I need to get one of those in hand and feel it. The Mini Buck Horn comes in at $215. $215 for M390, and this kind of milling on the titanium, this kind of action, whoops, that was me, is just, I think, well worth it. Ketuo/Reich, one of my favorite overseas manufacturers. They do insane stuff. Let's check the detents on this. You can hear that locking in. Our lockup on this, we do have a titanium or a steel lock bar insert, and I want to show you that that is screwed from the inside. You know, just another thing that takes a little bit more time. We have lockup on there of at right about 50%. Now, there is a little bit, the front scale is cut back a little bit to expose that lock bar. And with my big old thumbs, I can use that and work that and get out of the way. If you had smaller hands, like I said earlier, this knife would work way better for you. And I think that cutout would be just perfect. The choil on here does work as a finger choil, and you can use that flipper tab as like a trigger pull and really get some control over this awesome blade. There is no jimping on top, which, you know, would be nice. Very sharp blade, as you can see. I've never received a Ketuo that wasn't screaming sharp. Now, one of my complaints about this knife, or nitpicks about this knife, and it's only going to affect people with larger hands, is I do lock myself out of this one where I didn't on the full size. If you have smaller hands, you're probably not going to have any issues. But I tend to end up on that. See, the pocket clip is really small for my fingers, and I tend to end up on that lock bar, and I'm putting pressure on it when I go for the flipper, or definitely when I go for the thumb studs. This one is not easy for me to work the thumb studs with my thumb, but the reverse flick is money. The reverse flick is where it's at for me on this, because then I don't lock myself out at all. It is a little small for me to be using in multiple grips really comfortably, except for maybe the Beef Jerky Avenger where I do lock it in. But with the ratios on this knife being so similar to the way it is on the full-size knife, again, I think you're going to find comfort in any grip if you have smaller hands. I will link my review of the original Buckhorn down below. But if you were looking for something smaller, this is just as good, if not slightly better for you. Because, again, I think that the milling is done a little bit better on this, a little bit nicer. I mean, just slightly, but still. I want to point out, look, they even carry that milling onto the lock bar. The detail, the level of detail on this is just stunning when you get it in hand. But you've got an upgrade on the steel. You've got even a slightly better milling on the titanium, and you're saving $60 at $215. If you held back on the original, and you have smaller hands than me, this is absolutely the knife for you. Now, this, again, it's not I don't want to say it's a small knife, because it's just under 7.5 inches. It's not a small knife, but this comfortable grip area and the way it's made to contour to your hand. That's where that comes into play. It's too small for me there. But I still love the blade shape, and the way this is contoured gives you a perfect pinch grip to use that tip, or very comfortable in a utility grip. And you do have plenty of belly, or a long belly that you can use for some long slicing, and then a pokey tip for when you need it. To me, for a lot of people, if they get this in hand, this is going to be their favorite knife of the year. If you order this and you have smaller hands than me and you are not completely stunned by it, let me know, because I would be very surprised. I am going to link this knife for sale below, and that is an affiliate link, so that does help the channel, but it's completely up to you whether or not you use those affiliate links. I want to point out that even going into this choil here is contoured down on both sides so that you are more comfortable inside of that choil. The way that they have brought it in on both sides here. Again, I can only say Ken Onion and Ketuo knives is absolutely a match made in heaven. Those are my, I do want to point out one thing, because it just in case people are wondering, it looks almost like the thumb studs work as external stop pins. I want to let you know that that's not the case. It does meet up with the tang of the blade meets up with the stop pin before those actually touch. So optical illusion, but it also moves those thumb studs as far out of the cutting path as they could be. Very, very well thought out. Beautiful knife. Don't show Mrs. Deadly. What are your thoughts? Drop them below. Until next time, stay safe, stay frosty. Most importantly, folks, stay deadly.